Welcome to week 1. Let's take a look at Blackboard. If we go to content, week 1, let's see what we got on tap. So we have on there, for week 1, I want you to do your introduction. Your reading assignments, chapter 1 and 2. We're going to have 2 weekly discussion questions, a weekly paper, a quiz, and a journal entry. Under your lecture notes, you will see the PowerPoints in there. You'll see the 2 PowerPoint videos, and also I added 2 other videos to watch. You can use these as part of your discussion question to reply and count as a reply. It does not count as your initial response. If we take another look up, you have your assignment folder. Assignment folder's in there. That's where you're going to be posting all your work in there. So please take a look at that. So for chapter 1, we're going to look at access control, the framework. We're going to see how it covers how access is controlled, what's the principal components of it, what are some stages of it. So basically, what is access? Well, we have to protect the data in our company, and our company, everything in there. So basically, it's just how do we control that? How do we put in passwords? How do we know who it is that's getting in? We're going to look at the overall, not just the infrastructure, but the building itself we'll cover in this look. So basically, we want to make sure that our data is there. So some of the highlights we want to make sure, what are our policies we have in place? What are the subjects, objectives, policies, and procedures? So who's authorized, who's not authorized, and who's unknown? We're going to identify all these different aspects of it. We're going to go through the authentication process, ensuring the users are who they say they are, that they're not someone else. You know, we're going to use different systems that we have in place. We're also going to be using information, technology, physical location, a little bit of everything. How do we make sure that, whoever comes to the front door has access to it? We'll have badges, identification we need to go. We're going to look at the authentication, password, token, fingerprints. These are all some of the major areas that we're going to look at. But the basic level of control, how we're going to go about this, we're going to look at the some logical access. Who, the identity, what type of access control do they have, when can they have access to it, where do they have access, why do they need it, and how are we going to grant that. So there's different rights we can go through, the administrator, author. So we're going to look at all these different things. We'll look at how the database plays in part of it, the operating systems. So these are just a basic overview of everything that's going to be going on in this week. We're also going to be covering Chapter 2. As I said, we'll be covering 2 chapters a week. So for Chapter 2, we're going to be looking at assessing risk and the impact on access control. So what are the terms and concepts involved with that? What threats and vulnerabilities exist? How to value situation. So what is risk? Risk is the probability that a particular threat will be exploited. Vulnerability, causing harm to the organization. Asset value. What is our assets worth? What is a threat? A threat is a list of description of potential things. Vulnerabilities is also a big part of it. So we're going to be taking a look at all this good stuff in Chapter 2. Like I said, we'll have a discussion question on Chapter 2 also. We're going to look at how passwords, how do they get cracked, heightened access, social engineering. Social engineering is a big part of it. And this is the manipulation of people in the workplace. That is probably one of the biggest threats to security. We can put up firewalls, we can put up fences, check in, excuse me. But people give out their passwords. And that's something we're going to talk more about throughout this chapter and throughout the class. We'll discuss it again. But social engineering is one of the biggest attacks that we have to worry about. How do we quantify the risk? Well, we'll look into that. How much is it worth? I mean, we can spend $10 million to protect our system. But if it's only worth $1 million, it's a waste of money. So we have to weigh out costs versus what our actual data is at. So we're going to be looking at that also. We'll look over basically the LAN domain, wide area network. How do we protect each one? What if we have a remote user? Well, they have to VPN in. So we'll look at that. What is the process for that? So we're going to be looking at a whole bunch of different things during these next 2 chapters. As I said, what we're going to be doing this week, you'll see there under the assignment tab, go to week 1, go to the assignments. Your introduction. Just tell me about who you are, where are you from, where do you work, what are some of your hobbies. Then you're going to look at week 1, discussion question 1. Discuss the 3 components of access control. It is due by Wednesday night at midnight, and this gives your classmates time to respond. Question 2 is the same thing. Explain the difference between threat and vulnerability. It is due Wednesday night. It should be about 250 words long, your response, your initial response. Also, that means then after that, you should reply to at least 2 of your classmates. You will have a week 1 paper, discuss the threats and vulnerabilities of access control and how they can be prevented. Must be in APA format. Must have at least 2 references and citations. Please check the rubric for exact grading, and please check it through SafeAssign. We are going to use that, so make sure you check that. And at the end of the week, a short journal entry for week 1. What did you learn this week? It is graded. It doesn't be in depth, but just give me an overview of what you learned. As I said, if you take a look at week 1 in the lecture notes and PowerPoint slides, there's a couple extra videos. You can watch them and comment them. That will count towards one of your responses to your classmates. So you have a couple things going on. As always, if you need to contact me, please email me. My email's on the thing, or you could post a question. If it's for an entire class, post that question and questions. And don't forget, you can always put in there what made you smile this week. It's not graded, just helps keep us on track, and remember that we have an outside life that we want to balance. So take a look at that also. So remember, get out there, smile. We'll see you soon.